Joining us now, the head coach of the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, Coach Marcus Freeman. Coach, y'all just started spring football, and you said during your press conference, Mike Denbrock, your new OC, talking a little bit of trash. Now, with you being a defensive guy by nature of your background, are you chirping back at all? Are you mixing it up during the practice?
No, I love it, man. I'm the head coach now, so I get to support him, man. He talks a little trash. I started laughing. I was back there. He's talking a little trash, and I started laughing like that's the Denbrock that I remember, because the problem is I used to be on the other side of the field. So he would talk a little trash. I would scream a little bit back to him. Now, man, when the offense has success, man, I'm the first one rooting for him. So I love it.
That's a good deal. That's a good deal whenever the OC is talking trash. I guess that means some points are being scored.
Amen. Amen.
When it comes to what you've learned just from year one to now year three being a head coach of Notre Dame, what would you say your biggest learning point has been?
I think every year you learn something different, right? Year one, you're just trying to figure it out. You're trying to figure out who you are as a head coach. Okay, these are the templates that other people utilize. What do you want to use? Year two was a big growth on, practice structure, and okay, this was good and this was bad year one and year two. The details, man. We had a play that we had 10 guys on the field. How do we go back and make sure those things don't ever happen again? Year three, I'm really kind of taking a mindset of being the best version of me, right? And that how can I be a better head coach? Not just go through the routine of, okay, here's spring practice, here's what we get ready to do, but challenging myself to grow as an individual. What I think will help our entire team be led better, maybe a better head coach. But so I challenge myself and everybody to really, let's be the best version of ourselves, which in turn will help us be a better team.
And one thing, Coach, that I've really enjoyed hearing you talk about is this mantra of, hey, we're going to challenge everything. We're going to challenge everything. We're going to try and do it to the very best way possible. Where does that come from?
It was something that when I was in Cincinnati as a defensive coordinator, I came with the mindset of challenge everything, right? It was a mentality of we're going to be more aggressive and those type of things, but it kind of grew into, it's a lifestyle. How do we challenge everything? How do we break the norms or confirm the norms, right? It's not always find a better way. It's like, okay, confirming what we're doing is the best way. And so it's a mantra of a never satisfied attitude that really kind of permeates our entire program.
And it's so funny to hear people talk about Notre Dame and just these reasons why you can't be successful when it comes to recruiting. Oh, the geography, the academic standards. And you've just heard all those things and gone out and crushed it. What's made you such an effective recruiter at Notre Dame?
I think you embrace those hard things, right? Is that I challenge young people and parents like, yeah, it's hard. It's hard. The academics are hard. You're at a place in South Bend, Indiana that's not a big, huge city, but most of the times the great opportunities result from choosing hard. And that's what I've kind of really expressed to all the recruits, that the result and the reward from choosing Notre Dame and some of the hard things that it really offers you is the great success. And so I think when people are challenged, they tend to say, okay, this is what I want. Instead of shying away from it, or instead of, just trying to hide it from different people, I truly embrace it. And I want the people that choose Notre Dame to embrace it.
And I'm sure you're happy to now be back playing football on the grass instead of doing the mat drills and all the winter conditioning. Is there a different temperature when it comes to the spring football for y'all this year, maybe compared to previous years?
I think every year is different, JD, right? You take a different group of players, even different group of coaches, and you say, okay, how do we take these different talents and skill sets and mold it into this football team that we all aspire it to be? And so really unique challenges. There's no greater joy for a coach than to be out on the grass. I say that all the time. Like, that is the relief that we get as a head coach and as coaches to go coach our players. And so we got practice one under our belts. We're going to give them a little bit of time for spring break and then bring them back, and then we're going to really be rolling.
You mentioned those players, Coach. A new player to the scene, Riley Leonard from Duke. I know he still has to win the job. What about his game excites you that he brings to South Bend?
Competitor. He is number one, just a fierce competitor. I noticed that when we played against him and game plan against him last year, but even being out here this year when he had a minor ankle procedure, and man, he was just so just itching at the bit to get out there on the field and run. And he's an ultimate competitor. He is a talent. We all know that, man. He's a talent with his legs, his arm, his mind. And I'm excited about what he has brought into our offense.
Are there any points with a competitor like that where, hey, we gotta kind of pull the reins back a little bit on a guy like this? We got to make sure that for your own safety, you're good to go.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing with Riley is for him to focus on, yes, number one, we have to make sure he knows that we're going to limit your reps. We're going to be open and honest beforehand and say, here's the reps you're going to get. And then for him to say, make this rep count, right? And when you're talking about a quarterback competition, you're talking about not getting all the reps you want. You can tend to let things that really don't matter play into your mind. And so for him, focus on your reps, what you're doing, and become a better Riley Leonard, because that's going to make you a better quarterback and that's a better offense.
And speaking of offense, I mean, Mike Denbrock, we touched on it a little bit already, but what do you expect from this Notre Dame offense with him now running the show?
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of balls being thrown down the field on our last practice. And so, Denbrock's not a guy to shy away from taking bombs, taking shots. But also, our core is still going to be able to run the ball, right? We can't be a finesse offense. We got to be able to run the ball and pound it, which are going to open up some things down the field. But Denbrock's not shying away from trying to throw the ball over the defenders' heads. And I'm enjoying seeing that.
And it seems like a lot of folks have had a lot of exciting things to say about that wide receiver room too. I mean, with Bo Collins, I know isn't practicing just yet, but he'll be in the room. Is there any expectations you have for this group, maybe compared to last year?
Well, I think the depth now is a little bit different. You're asking, you got about 6 or 7 guys, and even you got Jordan Faison, who's doing lacrosse, who's ended up starting at the end of the year for us last year. Bo Collins, as you said, is not practicing yet. You got guys that provide depth, and the 2 transfers we have here that are practicing, Chris Mitchell and Jaden Harrison, are giving us a downfield threat, which is also making those guys around him better, right? And they're fresher. And I really love what Coach Brown, our wide receivers coach Mike Brown, has done with this group. We hired him in December of last year as we got ready for the bowl game, and this room has changed tremendously.
I mean, I wish I could be within the building there watching those battles between them and Benjamin Morrison and Xavier Watts. I mean, a lot of big guys back on defense. Do you feel like there's a different leadership approach from the defensive side of the ball with all those key guys back?
Yeah, you lose a captain in J.D. Bertrand who's going to go to the NFL, but Cam Hart was a captain for us. But you got some returning starters that are productive, that are All-Americans, that, they bring a leadership quality just because of what they've done on the field. My challenge to them to be is you got to be outspoken leaders now. You got to lead this team. And, they're competitive dudes. There's some great battles, as you just said, in the one-on-one competition and those type of things. But ultimately, at the end of the day, the ability to hold others accountable, the ability to make our defense better and our team better is the challenge that I have for them all.
Now, Coach, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask about this. There's not games being played, so everyone's talking about the new things in college football, the playoff format. And if I'm a Notre Dame fan, I'm like, hey, with our schedule, we run the table. We should get a bye when we get into the playoff. Have you had any conversations with your team or any thoughts around how this whole thing is going to look when we get to 12 teams here next year?
Yeah, not with our team, but with our administration. Listen, the mindset I have is we have a bye week 13, right? We're playing 12 games straight, and we get a bye week 13. There's 2 teams in the country that are probably going to get a bye week 14, right? And there actually, I know there's 4 teams, but the reality is that there's still going to be plenty of teams that don't have a bye. Right, there's going to be some teams that play in championship games that are going to make the playoffs that don't get a bye, and so we are guaranteed a bye week 13. Control the things we can control, and let's go and take care of the business we can take care of.
Well, Coach, last question for you. We appreciate all your time. When it comes to Notre Dame, when you took it over, me consuming the sport on social media, I'm seeing the visit pictures start to ramp up a little bit. I'm seeing the cool gold throne. I mean, it felt like Notre Dame almost got like a revamp as a brand. Was that something you wanted to do when you took over as head coach?
It wasn't to make Notre Dame cool again. I've heard a couple of people say that, but be authentically you, right? And that's who I've always been, and that's what I want this program to be, is that, you know what, we can have high standards, high expectations, treat people with respect, and still be ourselves. And if the result of that is that, we've made Notre Dame cool again, I love it. That's not what I wake up every day and hope for, but I think the result of being a better, as I said, better version of ourselves, being who we are, celebrating these distinctions that we have at Notre Dame, at the end of the day, it will make us cool again, and it's helping us in recruiting.
If you're cool, you're not trying to be cool, right? There you go. There it is. Well, Coach, again, thanks for all your time, and can't wait to watch y'all get after it in the fall.
Awesome, man. It's been a pleasure.
Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.